88.9 WLRY, and welcoming a very special guest right now. We have Danny Gokey with us. And Danny, welcome. Thanks for talking to us today.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me on the show with you guys this morning.
You know, last time I talked to you, you were on tour with Natalie Grant. You stay pretty busy. How often are you on the road?
Man, this year is probably the most, out of all the years of touring I've done, it's probably the most. And so I don't have the number, but it's a lot. But I'm thankful. I'll tell you, and I'm grateful to do what I do.
Yeah. So you guys will be coming to Zanesville on Thursday as part of the Beating Hearts Tour, and that tour is just getting underway. Oh, by the way, before I forget, congratulations. You're nominated for Song of the Year and also New Artist of the Year at the 46th GMA's coming up.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. It's we don't do it for the awards, but, man, I got to tell you, it feels good when someone, when you give it the nod, you take it, and you take it with a big smile on your face. And so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for those that might not have caught our last interview with you, tell us a little bit about your background as far as American Idol, because you were telling me stories of what it was like on American Idol. And I believe the way that you told it to me was it was like a big cattle call. The first time you guys got together, you get together in like a big arena, right?
Yeah, and exactly. That's the name. That's the undercover name that they put on it. That's kind of said by the people on the inside, and it's because they basically herd you around like with just like cattle, like a bunch of cows going through there.
Wow.
And you're just being prodded through. You wait a very long time for a very, very small audition.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of auditions going on at once in the arena. I think, in the city that I tried out, I tried out in Kansas City, there was probably about 10 to 12,000 people there.
Oh, my gosh. Did you just look around you and say, what am I doing here?
Oh, dude, so many times I was like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? I'm wasting my time. There's so many great singers here. Why would I make it through? Because the thing that really messed with me the most was that I would hear amazing singers get sent home, like people who were way better than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, why are they sending that person home? And I started realizing, as the show went on, I realized that it wasn't as much about the voice as they were looking about. There was more than just a voice they were looking for.
Yeah. The voice, look, personality, the whole package probably there.
Yeah, even if you didn't have it, they had to go see beyond it and see, can this person have the look, or can it have, the personality? And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, but that really discouraged me when I was waiting there, because I just felt like, man, if I can't sing as good as that person, how am I going to make it through? It was just the grace of God that I made it through, I got to tell you.
Yeah, and did you know once you did the audition, I mean, did you finish it and go, man, I nailed that, or what was your feeling?
I got to go back and try to feel what I felt.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I nailed it. I just felt like, all right, I made it.
Yeah.
I made it through the audition. I didn't crack. I didn't choke. And when they gave me the golden ticket, I was very happy.
Yeah, that is awesome. So now your first album, was it a country album? Is that right?
Yeah, I did a first album I was signed by 19 Records, and so I was already signed to the contract. They moved me over to the countryside, and which was cool with me because I could keep my Christian faith. My faith was a big part of what I wanted to do. Yeah. And if you listen to my first record, it had a lot of references to faith, and maybe too much, and that's why maybe that's why my label dropped me. But then I got signed, on this side to another album out of New York. Another record label out of New York, and I'm the only Christian artist on their roster. But we're releasing music to Christian radio, and it's done so well in this market.
Yeah, that is awesome. And that's funny what you say about country music, because out of all the popular formats out there, that is the one probably that's most infused with faith. Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why I enjoy doing it, because my faith is such a big part of me. And but sometimes it's kind of cool how God works. Like God, even though I was in that area, God knew that He wanted me over here, and so He just worked His hands and his plan just like He always does. And once He moved me over to the Christian side, that's where I've seen most of my success. Mm-hmm. And it says a lot about God that even if you're in the wrong spot, and maybe people have put you there, or maybe you put your own self in the wrong spot, if you keep seeking God, He'll take you where you're supposed to go. And I love that's what He's done with my career.
and people's lives are being touched, and the story of hope is still moving forward.
Yeah, and I know in addition to your music, you were also doing some speaking dates at churches, because you did one out in this area last time you were in the area. And are you still doing some speaking engagements in addition to the concerts?
Oh, yeah. Now, I do more music than I do speaking, but speaking is a very big part of what I do, and people do request me to come out and speak because in the short time I've been alive, I've gone through loss.
Yeah.
I've gone through some really difficult things. I've dealt with, I remember even when I lost my first wife unexpectedly, I dealt with, wanting to take my own life, and it's a real issue when you feel hopeless. It's interesting how the enemy can whisper in your ear and begin to say, "There's nothing worth living for. You might as well just take your own life." And one of the number one testimonies I get from my music and from my book that I wrote, and from speaking to people, I deal with that. I deal with suicide, and there's a lot of people who send in testimonies about how they were going to take their life, but when they heard my story or heard the music, that they decided to not go through with it, which is amazing.
Yeah, I had some family members that were at a church that saw you speak and heard your testimony and were really touched by it. And
wow, that's so great.
The book, I believe, is it titled "Hope in Front of Me" also?
Yeah, it's "Hope in Front of Me." And the subtitle is "Find Purpose in Your Darkest Moments." And really what is going on with that whole thing is that I share my story, and I share a deep side of it, how we believe God for a miracle. And I know if there's someone maybe on the line listening in, I know a lot of people, a lot of Christians believe God for some things, and when God doesn't answer the prayer, what do you do with that? And that was where I was. What was I supposed to do once, I read in the Bible that God was a healer. When I prayed that He'd heal my first wife, all of a sudden she passed away. That was really hard to reconcile with my faith. And then what about the depression that I went through? And how come when I was praying, I felt like it wasn't getting any better, it was getting worse? And I deal with that, and then I deal with the steps that God gave me to get out of it. But the best thing about that all is what I thought was the end of a story for my life was the beginning of a new chapter. And literally, I had no idea this was going to happen at that time. Hindsight is now 2020.
Right.
But God birthed a career, and God birthed a mission, and God birthed a purpose out of that dark moment in my life. And so with that being said, I literally want to encourage people who are listening now to say, you know what, just keep moving forward. Because had I taken my life at that time and just gave up on life, I would have never have experienced the chapters that God had already written out for me.
Exactly.
The chapters I'm living out now are chapters of, I got remarried to a beautiful wife. I have 2 beautiful children. I have a music career. I'm bringing hope to so many people by the grace of God through the music that I do. I have an album that's out. I have a book, working on another album. Got a Christmas record coming up this year, and I got a nonprofit organization that takes homeless families off the street. These are all the beautiful things that came out of that brokenness. So I want to encourage people that God does take all things and work them together for the good. It might not all be good, but He'll work it out and make it good in the end.
Amen. Very well said. Danny Gokey with us. Beating Hearts Tour comes to Zanesville October 8th, this Thursday, along with new song, also Mandisa and Reno. And Danny, thanks so much for talking to us. Look forward to seeing you this Thursday out at the show.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's good talking to you. We'll see you.